What's up, bikers? I'm Robert, and this is the BI KER Bar Podcast live stream, episode 106. And I am really excited to be here today. This is the second podcast that we've done this week, or I've done this week. We mean, I don't know who I'm talking about, my little mouse in my pocket or something. Nonetheless, here we are. Today's guest is KRAM Nutrition, which I ran into them a while back at an event put on by MTB Norcal, who has also been on the show. If you haven't heard of them before, go ahead and check that episode out. I don't know what number it was. You guys, I'm sure, know how to use search, so you can figure that out. Outside of that, I want you guys to do me a favor, just one small favor. If you really enjoy this podcast and you're like thinking of how you could help support it, or like you want to keep seeing it, you want to keep hearing it because you're like, hey, this is free, I like it. There's a couple of different ways that you can really help me out. And one of them would be, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. That like keeps me motivated. If you hit the thumbs up button, that like shows the YouTube algorithm that people enjoy it and they want to see more. So that helps out a lot there. If you're like strictly like listening to a podcast kind of person, that's rad too. If you could go by the Apple Podcasts website for this, it's always in the show more notes if you're on YouTube, or it would be in the notes as well for the podcast. And go over there and write a review. Like a 5-star review would be great. Anything less than that, I don't know, man. Maybe you shouldn't take the time. But if you want to write a 5-star review, that would be super cool. If you want to just see some other things that's going on with me and the channels that I have, you can swing by Facebook at B1KER B1, and then also you could go to Instagram and give me a follow over there. Those numbers also help keep me motivated, and same kind of thing goes over there. You see some pictures you like, hit the little thumbs up or the star or the whatever, the heart, what, you know how to work social media. I would hope so. Outside of all of that, I also have a Patreon, which at the end of the day, the Patreon people are really the people who support this channel like the most financially, is what that comes down to. So some of them are paying $1 a month. That's $12 a year, but I have coupons on there that are for the different, or for some of the companies that I've talked to, they'll extend a little extra discount. And for example, today, KRAM Nutrition has extended a 10% discount to anybody that wants to go and check them out. The code is BIKER, B1KER 10, and swing by their website. So that would be something that normally only the Patreon people get, but for two reasons. I really want to help this company get some more traction out there, because I really like their product. And the other reason is that I want you guys to understand, like, that's kind of what I'm doing to give back. So even for $12 a year, or maybe you want to be a higher level Patreon at $5 a month, that's what, $60 a year. I definitely spend more than $60 a year buying my buddies beers. So hey, you're at the BI KER Bar, buy me a beer, right? Anyways, let's go ahead and get started with the show. I'm going to bring on Ruth. How you doing, Ruth?
Love your intro. It's awesome. Just back here cracking up.
Oh, that's awesome. Sometimes people ask me like, oh, what are the questions for the show? And I'm like, I have no clue. I am not that. I just get on and start talking, and I don't like, here you can see my notes for the show is like this blank.
Right. That's what makes it fun, right?
Right. I think that's what like helps the conversation just be like fluid.
Right.
I've listened to some other ones where like people have, a very like rigid kind of set of questions that they ask, and I don't know, it just doesn't really, like, for me, I wouldn't want to listen to that,
Yeah. I'm with you. Yeah.
So can you tell me, like, what's KRAM Nutrition?
Yeah. So, I wanted to back up because the reason why I'm on here really is because the biking community is incredible. They're incredible.
Oh, thank you.
It was our very first support throughout Northern California, and everyone we ran into, Dialed Health, MTB Norcal, Freedom Riders, Fat Track, it just, the list goes on. Auburn Bike Park, we've been contacted by them. I mean, it's just been a huge community for us. So stepping back, we are a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, an on-the-go peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Obviously a nutrition we're trying to figure out how to really get away from saying it's, like a healthy Uncrustable. But that's kind of where the PB&J reinvented came from. So we took the on-the-go PB&J and we reinvented it by making it nutritious. So we make our own bread in-house. In fact, I just got done doing that. And so we ferment our dough to create a prebiotic effect, so which makes it more digestible, and the fiber can, just a quick overview, the fiber can feed the good bacteria in your gut. We also add protein to the beast. So we have a beast and an OG. We add minerals to support, obviously, your hydration and your overall mineral intake. And then in the beast, we also add colostrum, bovine colostrum, to support gut health and immune system. So for athletes, that's really our niche market, is athletes for that. And we add those functional ingredients for that purpose. So the beast is like the big, has all the added yumminess to it. And then the OG has the added minerals, but no protein, no added protein or colostrum to it. So
yeah, I've go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I've been a long time, PB&J kind of person, just because it's like it's really, it is a simple way to get some protein, some fat, some sugar, and depending on what bread you put it on, then you could round it out, or you could eat it with banana or something like that. And I just it tastes good too. You know what I mean? So
that's sustainable energy.
Yeah. It's easy to pack,
or...
in your bag or whatever. And I've seen some guys that used to just grab the Uncrustables, and in my mind, I was like, yeah, it makes sense. It's easy. It's already packaged and everything like that. But I always kind of wanted to have maybe something that I just made on my own, because I knew the bread would be better, or it wouldn't be so much sugar in the jelly or something like that.
Right.
And but it's obviously it's something that people have used on the trail, at least. That's the main sport that I do, is bikes. But where did you guys decide this is how did you come up with, I want to make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches?
Yeah. So we, as a family, we've been talking for years and years. It'd be so fun to have a family business. And but what would we do? Oh, let's do pizza. And it just kept going and going and going, of all these ideas. And finally my son and I sat down. He's really the entrepreneurial behind this. But we sat down and we thought, what do athletes always eat? We're a family that is on the go. We are active. We're hiking, we're biking, we're playing sports. And the more research we did, not only obviously does a family eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but every athlete that we talked to ate peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, whether they were endurance athletes or, hiking or whatever it was. Because it is one of the most sustainable. It's like you're either eating that or you're eating bars. Yeah. And the bar market is so saturated, and there's great bars out there. And it would just be hard to separate yourself,
Right.
in that market. So we said, hey, what if we do an on-the-go PB&J? What would that look like? So my son went to work, and this is what was born out of it. So yeah.
I can't say how many times that I if I'm hungry, right before a ride or something like that, that I've made my own. You saying that athletes in general are eating peanut butter and jelly, I think you're spot on there.
Yeah. We've realized that it's, as we've continued to grow and reach out to, different communities and retail and all it, people are looking at wow, there's nothing like that on the market. There's absolutely nothing like that on the market. And although we do have competition with, obviously, Uncrustables, and there's another brand out there, but totally different market. Their niche market's really family, and we feel like it's a trickle down effect. If the parent athletes are eating it, their children are going to be eating it too, because it is a healthier option. And but so it was, that's kind of where it was born. And we thought, let's have some fun with this. Let's get some good branding and make it fun. And, the 80s were a fun time. So that's kind of our branding kind of represents, more of the 80s style. And So we got a graphic artist, and she's amazing. She's absolutely amazing. And so she created all the branding, and yeah, then we shared it with tons of people for a long time. It was like a year and a half. And we got so much good feedback that we thought, you know what, let's just jump. Let's just do it and see what happens, you know? And wow, it's been an incredible journey already. So we just hit our year on the 3rd of November. And on that day we also got into Sprouts. So it was kind of a cool, you know,
that's
day.
so rad.
Yeah. It was like a celebration all the way around.
Is Sprouts nationwide? I can't remember.
It is.
Yeah, they are. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they are. So they have about 400 stores nationwide. We got into 78 of them. And it's really cool because there's 2 stores down in Sac, Marconi and Del Paso. And then we're in the Folsom store and in the Lincoln store.
So for people that are listening, like nationally or internationally, you guys are located here in Sacramento, where I'm at.
Yes, we're in Colfax, California. Our actual kitchen is here. We do have like a little retail. We tell people if they're in the area, you know, and they want to pick up their orders here, they can do that. We're right off the 174. But I'm actually, I reside in Arizona now. I raised my kids here, and then retired a couple of years ago and went to San Diego, and then have since now been in Prescott area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like a little town outside of Prescott. Yeah.
Arizona's pretty cool. There's a lot of diversity in that state that you wouldn't think was there.
Yeah, never thought I would move to Arizona for sure, but I love it. It's just a tiny little town, and it's really good.
I when I first went there, like going to Phoenix, I would have never, like, I never really had been in the desert really, and to like go out there and ride was like, it was just really amazing to me, that the beauty that was in the desert. Like I never really would have thought, like in my mind, just like growing up, you're like, you think desert, you don't think of something that's like so pretty, and you go out there and you like see the views and the difference in vegetation and stuff like that, the rocks and stuff. It's just it's definitely really cool, you know?
Yeah, so definitely different. And it's fun to go back and forth. I'm here like 3 weeks out of the month right now. Because we have a couple employees now, so I have to manage them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'm, you know, I get about a week in Arizona, but it makes me appreciate it because I come here and all the trees and the green, and I go back there and, you know, there's hardly any of that there. But we also live in an area that has, it's called the Dells. So it has these beautiful big rocks. And so I love to hike up in there. But yeah, it's fun to go back and forth because I do get to appreciate both areas. So
so does one of you have a like background that's some kind of nutritional or food or something like that? Or
so I'm a functional nutritionist, and Austin is just an amazing learner. So he goes out and he learns so much, especially with health. He loves to learn about it. I always tell him he really needs to get into nutrition and do something with that. But, you know, he's such an active person too. So he's, you know, he really loves to figure out what the best foods are to eat and why, and what's the new up and coming. And so both of us, yes. I mean, he doesn't have an actual school background in that, but
so you've been doing the nutrition thing like your entire career, or?
No, actually I worked for an insurance company for many, many years, doing workers' comp. And then, you know, Sleep Train? Mattress. Yeah. So I worked for corporate office there. And when they sold is when my husband and I worked for the company as well. So we retired. It was an employee-owned company at the time. So yeah.
So at that point, you decided you wanted to like go back to school, or you like took some nutrition stuff? Like how did that go?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just turning 50 this month, and I just can't sit around. I just couldn't. You know, we had a great time. We lived in San Diego for 5 years, right down by the beach in Pacific Beach, and it was so much fun, and we did so much stuff and outside all the time. But I couldn't sit around. You know, my kids moved out of the house, and then I don't have a job anymore.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it just felt like, I got to do something. So
Yeah,
that in part too, that had a part, obviously, and Austin and I doing this together. And my daughter and my other son would do it as well. They'll be part of it as well at some point. It's my daughter's in Oregon, and my other son actually just moved to Arizona. So, yeah. So hopefully we'll hire the whole family.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
Yeah, that would be the funnest. That's our dream for sure. But yeah,
Right.
I mean, I did the functional nutrition thing and I had a ton of fun with it, and I love helping people. But this translates
What does
into
that
both
mean?
of them.
What does that mean? Functional nutrition? Can you explain that?
Yeah. So it's more about what happens when you do put food in your mouth. So it's the education of how your body functions with certain nutrition. So it's more of instead of looking at it like, let's see, how's the easiest way to say this? Like you would go to a conventional doctor, and they treat the symptom, and the functional medicine would actually try to find what exactly is going on so that we can, bring it back and then move forward with fixing the problem. So it's not really about fixing the symptoms, about getting down to the root cause of it.
Yeah. Trying to maybe figure out what people are having an allergy to or what their body's reacting to or something like that.
And then feeding your body properly so it can heal itself. So, it's more of let's get down to what really is going on versus let's treat the symptom. So, I mean,
was there something personally that made you drove you to get into that?
Yeah, wanting to have longevity and feeling good, in my body and really helping people. That was my big thing. It's like I want to help people be better people. And nutrition's a great way to start because nutrition equals mental health as well, emotional health, So so that's a fun thing about Cram is that we get to do that. We get to help people eat better. And with the millennials, this is what's fun about it is the millennials love this now. They want to feel healthy. They want to be out there. They want to be putting good food in their body. They have a lot more education about it now, which is where my son comes in, and his friends were really digging on it. And so, it's really fun. It's really, we were having so much fun. And, there's ups and downs with business. It's like, when can we get a break? We say. And then the next day it's like, boom, great news comes in. All the bread turns out perfect. And, all the sandwiches turn out perfect because right now we are hand making them. So we have a little press and we do the whole deal on our own. We just got our production line in, which is actually pretty exciting. So we'll now feed the production line, the bread, and the peanut butter and jelly will do its thing, and then it'll press it at the end and make a pocket sandwich. Make the actual sandwich itself. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
there's a machine that'll do it now instead of you guys.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we still have to sit there and the bread through and make sure. And then
so when you first started, were you guys using your own bread or did you kind of prototype with hey, I'm going to go buy some Dave's bread and try this or what was it like? Was it right out the gate? You're we need to make our own bread.
Yeah. We were making our own everything initially, jelly, bread, peanut butter. And now we make the bread and the peanut butter, but the jelly was just going to be a lot of work to do. And to try to manage all that was just going to be too crazy. So we do make our own bread. We make our own peanut butter. We use organic Valencia peanuts. And so, yeah, I mean, it would be lovely to do everything, but this is why there's not another us out there because it's not easy. And then, of course, frozen food category is much more difficult, but we're in it for the long haul. We're like, we're going to keep doing it. We'll just keep plowing through all these challenges and, keep doing our thing. So,
so people understand when you order this, basically you guys pack these in a box that has dry ice in it, and then you ship that out and you ship nationally.
We do. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then I'm not sure internationally or no, probably.
No, not internationally yet, but we are on Amazon now. It's still in the I guess Amazon's just a little bit hard to work to maneuver through because it's basically bots.
Yeah.
We have somebody doing it for us. So,
Yeah.
so we are up on there. It's just a little bit hard to find. It's a little bit clunky to find right now because I think they're
Yeah.
working through the search stuff.
Yeah.
But we are there, but we're still not going to do international at the moment. It's just a little bit too hard to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I can totally understand. I mean, at this point, you're 1 year in, like, focus with what you have right in front of you right now, and don't try to,
we'll
like,
master all the
right. Let those things
Yeah.
will come when they're supposed to. So, you said that you're getting into Sprouts now. Are you getting into there nationally, or just like local, in the local, like kind of the region?
No, we are national. We're 78 stores across the United States.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
that's like a big deal. That's a really big deal. Congratulations.
Really big deal. Yeah. It's really exciting. It's scary and all that all together, but it's extremely exciting. And then by May, we're discussing getting into all 400 stores by May, because we think we can handle the volume by then. So,
do you have other retailers that you're working with as well?
Yeah, we actually we're just getting into Erewhon. I don't know if you've heard of Erewhon, but it's a SoCal based, it's kind of like a fancy health food store. Very well known in that area.
Okay.
I think they used to be on the East Coast as well, but now they're strictly in SoCal. Great people, great store. It's beautiful stores. They have 7 stores throughout SoCal. And then we are looking. We've submitted all of our stuff to 515 Market downtown. And that's a pretty cool store too. So, and then we're in Life Organics, and it's a little health food convenience store in Southern California as well. So, but yeah, this is going to be the year of getting into all the local retail and
I mean, ramping up with the Sprouts, I'm sure will help tremendously. And it's really interesting to think about, because the frozen aisle isn't necessarily like a typically healthful aisle, so to have something that's actually more on the healthy side in that aisle is it kind of makes you stand out a little bit.
Because it's not like you can be on an end cap, where everybody sees it and there's big signs. It is. It's a little bit funkier to be in the frozen area, but I agree. Sprout sent me a picture of us on the shelf, and we definitely stand out. And it's our colors, it's our branding, but it definitely stands out. So we're really excited about that. I think first off, it's going to be really fun to see our product in the store, and then hopefully everybody will start going towards that versus ordering online. I mean, I know a lot. We're going to stay online. We're going to be in stores, be on Amazon. We'll get into all those outlets that make it easier for people to, everybody likes to order differently, and so I might want to go in the store and shop. But I have a feeling like the younger kids like to order online, and a lot of people
it totally depends on the person. Some people, Amazon's really easy for them, and some people like have that tactile feeling. They want to go pick something up and actually see it in person or whatever.
That's me. I want to touch it, look at it.
So in the aisle, are they placing you like with the Smuckers, like right there, or?
Well, Sprouts doesn't have Smuckers.
Right.
So,
okay.
The conventional stores, I would imagine, if we got into a Safeway or Raley's or something like that, or even
Sprouts is a little bit more on the healthy side as well. They're, for people that aren't familiar, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're not like 100% like I guess you could compare them to like Whole Foods sort of or something. Yeah. So I mean, there's still some other products in there that aren't like maybe like your local co-op or something. You know what I mean? So.
In fact, she was saying, look at the picture, and she goes, when you look at it, and she goes, all the brands are great brands, but we need more healthy, like true healthier stuff that the ingredients really match health, So you guys need to start, innovating something. I'm like, I don't know. We are thinking about doing peanut butter, jarring our peanut butter, because the Beast is just amazingly delicious. It's like a treat because it has a colostrum that kind of gives it that yummy, creamy flavor along with the protein powder.
Mhm.
And it's so yummy. So we are thinking about that, and that would
Yeah.
stand out as well on the shelf, but having a shelf stable
Mhm.
product too, it would be a good balance for us.
Mhm.
So we have lots of things that we're thinking about, lots of things that we want to do. But yes, going back to the mastering what we're doing right now is very important. And then we
Right.
can move on to innovating.
Yeah, I think, I really enjoy watching that show Shark Tank, and there's
Uh-huh.
a lot of young businesses on there, and there's also another podcast that I like to listen to that it's by Guy Raz. I can't think of it right now, the name of it. But it's basically like, it's called How I Made This. And he interviews like people like Michael Dell, who started like Dell Computer, and like
Mm-hmm.
how did this happen? And these huge companies, like Whole Foods or something like that. And
Right.
it's just really interesting, like hearing like how those companies come to be. And I think why I mentioned like Shark Tank is sometimes, like, as a small business, I think people try to get too many places all at once.
Yeah.
And instead of like actually figuring out how to be where they're at right now, they're like still shooting for like way farther than where they should be. And that in turn, like, doesn't help,
Yeah, absolutely agree. And we have this discussion literally once a week.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
let's back up, because it gets exciting, right? Oh, I want
Yeah.
to be here and I want to be there. And yeah, one day we will, but I want to
Yeah.
take it slow and I want to grow slowly.
Because I could definitely see your product being a brand, so
Yeah.
like, hey, here is this healthy option to things that maybe you don't consider, to think of that way right now.
Yeah.
Like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich is great. It's like something, like you said at the very beginning, that nobody else is doing. And I'm sure that there's other products out there that, all of us are eating or making on our own that fall into that place. And I'm sure you guys are probably sitting around banging your head trying to think of what they are, or have a list of them already.
Yeah.
So but definitely, like, you have to establish yourself first.
Yeah.
You can't be selling, and I'm not saying this particularly for your peanut butter, but it's like, I'm just using it because you mentioned it. It's like, do you want to get into the peanut butter market, or do you want to, like, first, like, get people to know who Cram is for what it is, and then be like, hey, if you want to make your own, here's our peanut butter, like, that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's educating people to understand, because we've had a couple comments just like on social media or whatever, but well, it looks cool, but it's really expensive for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And it's like, okay, well, it's not just a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and so we that's one of our things this year too, is working on educating people why it's the cost that it is, because of the functional ingredients in it. And again, that's why we say the PB&J reinvented, because it's just not something you would go make every day in your home. We take the time to put really good ingredients, functional ingredients, into the peanut butter, so that we can make it a sustainable, yummy option, healthy option.
So between the two, what does it break down to on the sandwiches? I think it's like roughly $5 a sandwich on the Beast, I think.
Yeah. So in Sprouts, it'll be $4.29 per sandwich. That's your everyday low price. Yeah.
And they're not selling them individually, or they're selling them in a box, right?
They're selling them individually.
Oh, they are? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's cool then.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we don't do that right now. Obviously,
right.
It's a little difficult to send one sandwich in the mail, but
right.
that'd be weird. But yeah, they're doing it singles. So that's really fun too for us. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So are you selling the boxes there too, or it's just like people just, oh, okay. So it will still be easy to, like, you don't have to go grab 5 of them by yourself and have them kind of flopping around in your cart or whatever. So,
okay. Yeah. I think you can buy the box just like, if, like, I like perfect bars, I buy the box of them.
Is that the OG that's $4.29 or?
Yes. So, so everybody knows that our OG is the only one. The 2 SKUs of the OG, so the OG strawberry and OG blackberry, will be the only ones right now in Sprouts. So yeah, if you wanted the Beast, you'll still have to order that online. But hopefully hopefully all 4 SKUs will be in Sprouts by next year. So
yeah, that's exciting either way. So I mean, for me, initially you had sent me a sampler pack so I could try both of them, and for me, like, the Beast is like pretty much the only way to go in my mind, just because what I'm taking this for is like, I want the protein, you know, and the because that's what's really going to help like sustain you a little bit longer, you know, and what I'm usually trying to do is like I said, I'm getting ready to go. I didn't eat lunch yet or something like that. I can grab this and a banana, and by the time I get to like where I'm going, it's been defrosted, or I can throw it in my hip pack, and while I'm riding, it defrosts, and middle of the ride I can eat, and exactly. That's like right. So to me, like, I can understand the other one as well. It's still like a really good healthy version, but for me, it's like the Beast is definitely like, that's what I want, you know. That's the
and
part
for me,
that
it's the yummiest. I mean,
so was there a reason, like, or I'm sure there is, what's the reason that it's strawberry and blackberry?
Those were our 2 favorite flavors. And actually, you know, we did do taste tests with different flavors, and those just seem to be the flavors people love the most. So we do have our thoughts on our next flavor, which we're getting excited about. Again, it's, you know, it'll be a little bit, but we'll probably do a next flavor next, you know, before anything else.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Another flavor. Yeah. But yeah, it just seemed like the most people liked blackberry and strawberry jelly.
So not any reason as far as like the nutrition wise go, like why you chose those fruits or anything like that.
No, but we do source our jelly. So we do get our jelly from Crofters, and they have an amazing story if people want to go look at that too, but they do regenerative farming, which is part of our mission. And they offer a whole fruit jelly. So there's no sugar added. So all the sugar that's in it is natural sugar.
That's good. That's really good.
Yeah, which is why we chose them. So
there's a dehydrated fruit that I've been buying from REI and sometimes on Amazon, and that's the only reason that I buy it, is like, it's really just mango. It's not like all this added additives that like you're putting all these extra chemicals. It's like, no, like when you open up the one thing, it's like you just ate a whole banana, and it's like, oh, cool. You know, like that was it, you know, like, and
it's so unnecessary. You know, that's what we say. It's so unnecessary to put junk. And although I will say it's more difficult, right? Because our shelf life is 90 days. And if you had junk in it, your shelf life could be 120 days. We do blast freeze our stuff, so that helps the shelf life. But yeah, it's like, I don't want to compromise, you know, the health for longevity of it. And, you know, people that are buying them are probably eating them at least a couple times a week. So, you know, having a 6-pack or a 12-pack, you're gonna use it up. So within 90 days.
I mean, 3 months is a long time. So
yeah.
So essentially, after 3 months, like, do they have? I would assume you have to print some kind of like expiration date on them or something like that.
Yep.
So you would know then at that point, like, hey, they've been in the free. But even though they're frozen, they still like they go bad.
So this is what we say. We are going to get shelf life testing just to, I mean, we've done our own testing ourselves.
Right.
And obviously we're our worst critics, right? And so we take it out, and it doesn't taste fresh as when it comes right off, you know, the production line. But the integrity even of the functional ingredients, you know, bread starts breaking down after a certain amount of days, and you know, the nutritional value of it. And we don't know exactly what that is, but you know, just knowing that it's like if fruit sits out in the grocery store for too long, well, the vitamins are, you know, the value of them are going down tremendously every second. So you know, it's the same thing. And even though it is frozen, and we do lock it in with the blast freezer, we lock in the nutritional value. You know, we just want to be careful. We just want people to get exactly what they should be getting. So,
no, I totally understand.
Yeah. So that's why we limit it to that. I'm sure it could last. It's like we have people that contact us because we say, it probably shouldn't be in the refrigerator for more than a day because of the bread, right?
Yeah.
It's really healthy bread. It starts breaking down.
Yeah.
And people are like, what are you talking about? I had it in the I had it in the refrigerator for a week and it was still good. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah. I can tell you already, I've had one in my bag, forgot it was in there, like a couple of days later, opened it up and ate it, and I'm still here. So.
That's what my brother-in-law, he's a lineman. And so he takes them out to lunch, and he'll put it in the fridge the night before. He'll take it out to lunch. He'll bring it back, put it back in the fridge because he doesn't get a chance to eat it. Then he'll take it out the next day. I'm like, ew, it's disgusting. But
yeah, I
like,
definitely
had one. Talking about.
Yeah, I had one in my bag. Like I was going to eat it, and I totally forgot about it when I was riding. And then like the next day I was on another ride, and I opened up my bag. I was like, oh, that's still in there. And oddly enough, I'm hungry right now. So I'm going to eat it. So totally worked out that way.
Yeah, and we've had lots of people tell us that, but again, we have high standards. So for our product, and we want people getting the best. So we love constructive criticism. We love to hear feedback. It helps us be better, and yeah.
So up here earlier, I saw somebody throw up a question that I actually thought was pretty good. They were asking if there's a gluten-free option in the works.
I know. So we've tried gluten-free. My son has tried, to do it, and the bread doesn't. Anybody who eats gluten-free bread knows that the consistency of the bread is very different.
Yeah.
So what there's thoughts of really trying to master that in the future. So we're definitely sensitive to it. And although our bread we have people that are even sensitive. Now, obviously, if you're celiac, you do not want to be eating any wheat, but we have people that are sensitive to wheat bread, and they're not sensitive to ours. And that's because of the fermentation. But again, we would love to do a gluten-free option because we know that that's important, especially today. People, have super unhealthy guts, which creates issues with eating wheat. So, Austin's, he talks about it constantly, about trying to figure out a way to do it. But yeah, the bottom line is the consistency of the bread makes it really hard to make a pocket sandwich out of it.
Yeah. I mean, well, nowadays there seems to be, and I don't know, I'm sure we could probably have a whole 2-hour podcast on why, but it seems like people have a lot more food allergies than they did when I was a kid. And I don't know if it's like actually more, or like you just know about it more, but
I mean, well, there's lots. You're right. There really are a lot more people that are sensitive to bread and have more allergies just to other things as well. And it's the way that it's processed. Yeah. We process the wheat differently now. And so it's really harsh on our bodies. It becomes an inflammatory for our bodies. And yeah, it's unfortunate,
I mean, you have another product. I mean, you're using peanut butter as well, which is another
allergen.
Another allergen that a lot of people, for some reason nowadays, like have issues with, which is just like, it blows my mind, because it's like, that's like about as American as like as apple pie, right? Like eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches as a kid.
Yeah.
It's just really shocking to me how many children now have that allergy as well.
Yeah, I know. It's, again, you think about the diet we have in the United States, and that definitely contributes to the health of our gut, which is where it all starts. So you see a lot more people with allergies in general to everything, every little thing. And that's the reason. You don't see this in Europe or in other countries, because they don't put the crap in the food that we do here.
They generally buy more fresh.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, I know I lived in Germany for a while. Most people's refrigerator in Germany is the size of like a college refrigerator in the United States.
Yeah.
Like, they go out, they buy what they're making for dinner that day or lunch or whatever, and that's it. They don't. So because of that, there's a lot of preservatives that Americans tend to have in their foods that it doesn't seem like that's the case as much in other countries.
Yeah, no, it's very true. And if people travel to other countries, they know this very well. When they eat there, they don't feel like they feel when they eat food here.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a lot of ingredients completely banned in other countries that we allow here. And I mean, geez, look, you can go to any area and, you know, 4 sides of the street have McDonald's and, you know, Taco Bell or whatever, all
Yeah.
the fast food stuff. And it makes it convenient. We have fast paced lives. So people grab, and this is, you know, this is another thing about Cram. It's a grab and go, but it's a healthy grab and go. So
Right.
you can grab it and eat it on the go, but you know you're eating something really good. You know that
Yeah.
you're feeding your gut versus destroying it. So
Yeah.
we take
It's,
pride in that for sure.
yeah. It's just like that other fruit that I was talking about. Like they have these fruit, they call them fruit jerky or something like that, fruit
Uh-huh.
bars or something. But that's what I am usually pairing with your sandwich, because I can put them both in my bag. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter if they're like, I'm not, if I try to carry a banana on a ride, like by the time you take it out of your hip pack or your camelback or whatever, it's just like, it's awful, right?
Mush. Yeah.
Right. But I can grab one of those things it's only a banana in that it's just like dehydrated or whatever it
Yeah.
is, you know, like, and I can open that up and I can eat that with your sandwich. And I know that I just had like a pretty well balanced like meal, like right there
Yeah.
on the trail
Yeah.
or
Good
right there.
macros.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's like, that's important. At least to me it is, you know, and I think that the market that you're in is like something that you're going to see more and more of, because I think that, and this is just my own personal opinion, but I think, you know, in the 60s or whatever, whenever the kind of TV dinner kind of lifestyle that
Mm-hmm.
came across America swept in, it was like, hey, here's a way that you can eat super easy and cheap, you know,
Yeah.
and just like everything in life, things are like really cyclic. And I feel like right now is whenever it's finally like swinging back the other way, where it's like,
Yeah.
okay, we like this idea of eating stuff that's fast,
Yeah.
you know, but
Yeah.
we don't necessarily want to have a heart attack at 35 or like weigh 400 pounds because of that, you
Right.
know.
Right. Yeah. And I think, you know, the state of our world right now, I think people are really looking for health too, because they fear getting sick, right? They
Hmm.
fear not being here anymore because they get sick. So
Hmm.
I think it's really it's waking people up to think
Hmm.
about their own health. And although we're still not hearing that in the mainstream, you know, agenda, it's we still know it intuitively.
Yeah.
We know that if we eat healthy food, we're going to feel better and we
Yeah.
will get through difficult illnesses. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's, and like I said, the kids these days, I mean, the young, you know, 25 plus are really looking at eating better and
Hmm.
they're having better options. And whether that comes from their parents or, you know, somebody in their life or whatever, that's where I got it. You know, I grew up with a mom in the 70s, you know, and she was very strict about what we ate. We didn't get candy. We didn't get any junk unless we went to our grandmother's, of course.
Yeah.
But, you know, that stuck with me because I
Yeah.
knew when I put something that wasn't good in my body how I felt. I was very
Yeah.
aware of it, you know. And that's how I taught my children, and you know, hopefully they'll teach their children that,
Yeah.
and it
That's
just
good.
keeps going. Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
important.
Unfortunately, my mom was the exact opposite of yours. She
Yeah.
was like, let's see how many days a week we can feed this kid McDonald's and get away with it. And, you know, growing up and having, I always had, you know, pretty good metabolism until you start to get to a certain point in your life that,
Right.
that starts slowing down. And then all of a sudden and then I also had a point where it was like, went from doing jobs that were physical to being in IT and sitting at a desk. And all of a sudden, like, hey, I can't go to Wiener Schnitzel and eat like 3 chili cheeseburgers and a fries for lunch because I'm like not burning calories all day long. Instead, now I'm
Right.
just like storing them. So I have definitely had to go a little different route. But at the end of the day, I think understanding what you're eating, and there's a lot of people that don't at all. You
Yeah.
know, I've had
Yeah.
friends, because I've been very good at being unhealthy. Like I've also had times in my life that I've been pretty good at being healthy. So like I know kind of both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And there's so many people that I've talked to just in my life that you just talk to them about how many calories you're supposed to eat in a day, and they have no clue.
Yeah.
Like they've never even heard the like simple like, hey, it's like 10 calories for every pound you want to weigh. You know, like
Yeah.
what are you talking about? How many calories? Like in their mind, they're like 2,000 calories. Isn't that what it like is on the back of all the boxes? That's
Right.
what we're supposed to eat. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, if you want to weigh 200 pounds, you eat 2,000 calories.
Right.
Or you know, like
Yeah.
it's up to
I know,
you.
it's
You
really,
know, like
yeah, it's really shocking actually that we don't get that education from
yeah,
childhood up. I mean, if you think about the pyramid, that's really scary, you know,
yeah,
to think how people are educated about it. And we just don't have, I mean, now we're getting better. You can
yeah,
go find really good nutritional education. It's just, we have to go look, and our lives are crazy busy, right? So people don't
yeah,
take the time. Um, and so they just go through the drive-through. That's easy to pick something up. And
yeah. I
people
don't
get
know
used
how
to feeling like
functional.
crap.
I don't know how functional it is that they're what they're teaching children. You know, at least my
Yeah.
kids have recently got out of high school. You know, within the last few years, my daughter's in college now. My son's like 21, and I think when they were in school, it was like they were really susceptible to whatever the opinion of the teacher was that was teaching that class. And
Right.
maybe one year they had a teacher that was a vegetarian, and that's like made them like everybody in the class guilty if they ate meat. And
Right.
then another
Right.
year it was like somebody that was into, you know, whatever else, you know, like, you know, like they thought that keto was the way to go. So they just, you know, and I feel like that's really unfortunate. Like, yes, there's a lot of different ways that you can eat out there. And yes, a lot of them are healthy. And if you I think you have to find the one that like really works for you. But I think
Mm-hmm.
whenever you're a person like giving education, that you should be indifferent on like what your personal opinions are, and
Right.
like help these children like learn like, hey, some people figure out that they're gluten intolerant just by paying attention to their body. You don't need
Right.
to go to a doctor. It's like, hey, every time you drink a bunch of beer, or you like have a bunch of bread at a sandwich, like your stomach doesn't feel good, like, and then you stop and it goes away. That's it, you know. And
Yeah.
those are the things that, you know, they should be, I think, maybe helping teach children, or like how to actually like look at a box and know what's in there, and
Yeah.
you know
Well,
how
like
to.
Whole Foods, think about it's so easy to eat fruit,
Yeah,
vegetables, Whole Foods, you
yeah,
know, those are grab and go. Like you were
yeah,
saying, you can grab a banana and go,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
it's really simple to eat well, but you know, I've heard the counter argument, and I get it. If people are, you know, they're quick, go here, go here, go there. It just makes it easier for parents to just
yeah,
grab, you know,
yeah. There's a sign at the
McDonald's.
Kaiser that I used to go to outside of the parking lot, and it always like made me smile when I would see it, because it said fruit is fast food.
Yeah, it is. It
Yeah,
is. We've gotten away from it, but you know, again, I think it's coming back around, and people are getting a little bit more, uh, you know, they're paying more attention to their health, and you know, grabbing better things. So,
mm-hmm.
you know, and Cram is a perfect product for that. It's just I mean, if you can go get Uncrustables, and I get it, Uncrustables are cheap. You know, I don't know how
Yeah,
many you get a pack, but they're cheap. But you know, a medical bill isn't cheap.
yeah,
So if you weigh that, you know, again, I'd be picking up a Cram versus an Uncrustable for sure.
mm-hmm.
And yeah,
So did you guys have, as a family, like you were already baking bread on your own, and that's kind of like how this started?
no,
Or
no,
once you guys had this epiphany that you're going to be peanut butter and jelly company, you're
yeah,
like, okay, now I need to learn how to make bread. How did that happen?
yeah, no, it's all my son.
Uh-huh.
He's an amazing cook, amazing in the kitchen. He has been since he was really teeny.
Mm-hmm.
I always tell this silly story because it just is, to me, it's just funny. He made spaghetti for us one night,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm watching him cook it, and he was tiny. I don't know, he was 10 or 11 or something, and he put milk in the sauce. I'm like, what in the world? Why are you putting milk in it? He's like, just, it's going to be good. And it was amazing, amazing. And I'm thinking milk and sauce. He just has this thing where he knows what should be going into what to make it delicious. So no, it's all him. He went to work and figured out how to make the healthiest bread. So, and it took a while, it took him a while, but he figured it out. He went through, again, it was about 1.5 years of figuring out the recipes. Which
So
seems funny.
process?
Like when we say that, it seems funny.
So what's that process? I mean, obviously, I'm assuming he had a job or he was in school or something like that.
Yeah.
You guys are like, as a family, just baking bread at night and testing it out. Like, how does this go?
Yeah, he was already out of the house. He had a job at the time, and he would just do it on his off days and off hours. Baking bread, making peanut butter, putting different ingredients to see what goes right. Doing tons of research on the functional ingredients that we do use. Yeah, I mean, it really it's simple, what he did, but it just took a long time because he wanted it to be perfect.
Yeah.
So he is definitely the entrepreneurial mind, he doesn't, he wants to keep perfecting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And finally I'm like, okay, we're done perfecting. We're jumping off the bridge and we're just we're going to do Cram.
Yeah. You have to pull the trigger at some point. Yeah. I remember a similar story with the guy that started Cliff Bars. He was like baking these things and getting his friends to try them and just kind of going on and on with it and kind of winging it. I think originally, if I remember correctly, he wanted to start like a burrito company instead or something like that. Yeah. He was just trying to start some business or something. Maybe I'm mixing two people up, but I'm pretty sure that was the deal. And he ended up doing these bars instead. So
yeah, it's funny because there's so many, stories of why companies begin and what sparked it to do that, and ours it's a super simple story. It's like health. We wanted to give health to people. And mainly our niche market, obviously athletes, so what do athletes need to be the best athlete? What do on the go lifestyles need to be the best on the go lifestyles? So they have sustainable energy to perform at their best daily. And then we just went with that. We just went to work. And
do you remember where you guys were when you were like
absolutely? Yeah.
How'd that happen?
Nugget Market in Rockland.
I'm sorry?
Nugget Market in Rockland.
Yes, I do.
Well, there's a Pete's right there. And so it was actually a bunch of family members, my sister, my niece, my daughter, Austin and his wife. We met there one day and I still have all the notes that we wrote down, what do we want to call it? And what do we want it to look like, see, like, feel like, but yeah. Oh, remember it so distinctly. Yeah. We just sat there and talked for, a good few hours about how it would look. And
so the idea came up, you guys were having coffee and somebody was like peanut butter and jelly. And then you guys just kind of sat there and brainstormed for a couple hours.
Again, we were talking like bars, saturated market, plus there's good ones out there, know? So how do you separate yourself?
Yeah.
And what would that look like? What would it be? And, we had lots of ideas. I mean, I had numerous ideas on this piece of paper and, but peanut butter and jelly just kept coming up. Every time we talked to athletes, it's peanut butter and jelly. I eat Uncrustables. I eat, So it's like, oh, okay. Well, how can we do a healthy version of that? Let's go for that. Yeah. But it was really important for us to make our own stuff because it's really difficult to find good bread. So that was the number one important thing. And then of course the peanuts, and how do we make really healthy peanut butter? Because once again, it's really hard to find really healthy peanut butter too. And I look at even brands that we ate as kids that had no junk. It was peanut butter and salt.
Yeah.
And now it has X, Y, and Z in it. I wouldn't even eat that brand anymore,
Yeah.
So the peanut butter came next, and trying to make the healthiest peanut butter, plus adding the functional ingredients and making it creamy enough still. So it was yummy to eat.
Right. Because I remember my mom was one of those people that also shopped at the health food stores, like the real granola ones. So it was like she had this like like, I don't know, like the devil and the angel, like on her shoulder. Cause on one hand, she would take us out to eat all the time at these like fast food restaurants. And then on the other hand, she would buy like this like health food stuff. Right. And it would be like, I'm sure if you ate the way that you were saying earlier, that you probably had some of these things like back then, like healthy food didn't actually taste good. So they would have like, it looked like it was Fruit Loops, but it was like awful. Like
Yeah.
that's the crap that my
Corn
mom would
puffs and
buy. Yeah,
yeah.
she would buy this
Yeah.
stuff and it would be like, I remember the cereal that she would buy was like so bad that I would just pour a bowl full of it in my bowl in the morning and then like throw that bowl of cereal away so that it didn't like disappear too fast. But it was like I would just not eat breakfast, but I'd go through the process of throwing the bowl of cereal away
Yeah.
so I could get out of like having to eat it. So
funny because see, I was the opposite. What she did buy was brown sugar.
Yeah.
So we grew up eating brown sugar. So yeah, we would just she'd allow us to put a certain amount, and of course she monitored how much we put in, but that made it all better. But we didn't get anything different, so we had no idea until we got a little bit older. My grandma would buy us, we called it sugar cereal, Fruit Loops, and whatever. But so we didn't mind it, but that was actually important to us. Is that if people were going to eat it, it better be good. You know, it better taste yummy, and the bread is the hardest part of that.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, I mean, if the consistency is wrong, it's gonna like kind of throw off the whole thing. I mean, when you go to a good restaurant, let's just say you're getting a burger, like depending on what bun they put that on, it could make or break that burger. Like at the end of the day, like the meat's the meat, right? Okay, they're gonna season it a little bit, or they got to cook it right. But the bread is like, and the condiments, the things that you put on there, that's so really like that's the wrapper, right?
Well, and like pizza's the same way, right? The crust needs to be yummy, but health food, people have this thing, well, if it's healthy, it probably tastes disgusting. We've heard that constantly, and so it was really important to us that wasn't the case. So hopefully we've mastered it. Hopefully everybody that's tried it thinks that way. And in our branding as well, like you think about natural foods, health food, it's greens, it's browns, it's, so we wanted to be bolder than that and be a little bit disruptive, and when people see it, they go, oh, wonder what that is. And they're intrigued by it and they want to check it out. But
I can say that, I mean, my initial thought when I ate it is like in your mind what a Smucker's tastes like, what I mean? So I think that I would be lying if there wasn't some part of me that was like anticipating that type of taste. You know what I mean? But even though like I still was going into it open-minded, I wasn't like expecting it to be a Smucker's, like literally expecting it to be that, but I know that there had to be somewhere in my head that was thinking that's like, you're preemptively thinking what this is going to taste like. And when I ate it, I mean, it's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It definitely has a taste to it that's not a Smucker's, which would be like comparing like a McDonald's burger to like the one that you make at home, and so but it's pleasant. I mean, it's a good peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and for me, like that combined with what I know is in it. So I mean, I think you have on the wrapper, it's like 72 minerals or something like that is in there. And then the protein, and it's just to me, I'm like, this is a win. This is 100% win to me.
Thank you.
No, I think you guys have done a great job at what you have there. So
and the community, the biking community, the mountain biking community, the cycling community, they've been incredible to us. Incredible. I mean, those are all the first events we ever did. The feedback was great. The community is amazing. That's what we love to do, is be out there. So hopefully soon we'll be able to get out there again. And
are you guys planning on being at the next Dirt Daze? I think they just scheduled that.
We'll be at Dirt Daze.
So any of you guys that are here in the Northern California area, I think Dirt Daze is scheduled to be, I want to say March 7th of next year. So keep an eye on the NorCal, MTB Norcal website. It's also linked in the show more in the podcast description if you want to go over there and check that out as well.
Such a fun event. and we'll stay for the whole thing this year. I think last year, I forget what we had to get back and I don't know, do something here.
I think you guys ran out of sandwiches too, right? You weren't giving like
did. I think
yeah,
we ran out when you came by.
yeah.
We were out of them. Yeah. So we'll give out samples as well as sell them this time. So that'll be fun too. Yeah. And then we'll obviously donate and yeah, it's just so
whatever.
Community
All the other good stuff that goes along with
things,
doing an event.
all the things. Yeah.
So how do you come up with these additives that you decided to put into the sandwich?
Well, obviously protein, supports muscle recovery,
So did you go with like a whey-based protein or like a soy or
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, we go with the grass-fed whey protein. And then the colostrum really is for gut health and immune health. And, a lot of athletes suffer.
Can you explain what colostrum is to some people?
Sorry?
Could you explain what colostrum is to people?
Yeah. So bovine colostrum, it's basically the first milk out of a cow. And it is so packed with nutrients. So obviously our point of putting it in there was for the immune system building. But with athletes, this is really interesting. And I only know this too because I have family members that are endurance athletes, runners in particular. But any endurance athletes tend to have a little bit of gut health issues. And it's downstream from being an athlete, especially runners. And so colostrum actually helps gut health. So it helps improve their gut health. So, for instance, my sister's a marathon runner and she's done 50, 100s. But they're always constantly dealing with, gut issues. And she eats really well. She eats really healthy all the time, but she needs extra support. And so the colostrum actually helps build back up, your gut lining and stuff. So it supports that.
So that's like having like probiotics, like there's like good bacteria basically that you're trying to ingest. It's something along those lines, or
this is my son's area of expertise with the colostrum part of it, but basically it's not really that, but it does help support the lining of the lining of your gut. I wish I had a better explanation.
It's all right.
But yeah, so I mean, basically that was really his reason for putting the bovine colostrum in, to really support athletes' guts and immune systems.
So there's a bunch of other like additive minerals and stuff like that. So how do you decide on that? It's just like, hey, these are things that people are typically lacking, or?
Yeah, so the minerals, it's a mineral complex, which is why you get the 72 minerals in it. And that really supports, yes, the minerals you're losing as you're exercising or, you're on a endurance run, walk, hike, ride. So sweating, it helps build back up your hydration.
Gotcha.
Yep. Helps you hold on to that so that you're not losing too much. So again, focused on athletes, but that's both in the OG and the Beast as well. So
the only and I just want to restate this. So the only difference between the Beast and the OG is the amount of protein that's in them.
The amount of protein, and the colostrum.
And the colostrum. Okay, so the colostrum's also in there. And the protein, if I remember correctly, in the Beast was like 22 grams, I believe.
Yeah. Yep.
And what's in the OG?
13.
So almost half then.
Yeah. Actually, our Beast is 19 now.
19.
We just sorry about that. Yeah, it's 19 now. We had a nutritional label tested. So
how does that go about? I always wondered about that.
It's
like,
really interesting.
How do they figure out how many calories is in something? Like, I just don't like.
It is fascinating. I mean, obviously they're scientists or whatever, but they take like, what is it? 10 pounds or I don't know. It's an extreme amount. And they test it and they test it for all the, you can get different nutritional value labels, but they basically test it for, all the vitamins and nutrients in it.
So you just send like a bunch of your product, like 100
Yeah.
sandwiches to them, and then they test them all and then average it out, and then they're like,
Yep.
this is basically what it is, and now here, pay us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
And they
yeah.
actually do the shelf life testing too. But
Uh-huh.
yeah. And then the fermented bread, that also acts as a prebiotic. So,
Mhm.
like I think I said that earlier, that it allows the fiber to feed, the good bacteria. So that was
Mhm.
our reasoning for doing the fermentation of the bread.
Mhm.
Again, better gut health and
Mhm.
health overall in general. So,
Have
yeah.
you guys considered doing something like where you're adding more like performance enhancing kind of things, where like people maybe additional salt or caffeine or something like that?
It's fun. We've talked about the caffeine thing. So I don't know. We might work with that, like more of maybe a green tea kind of situation. I
Uh-huh.
don't know, because Austin has to experiment with it, because it's
Yeah.
you don't want to give it a bizarre taste, or
Right.
you
You're
know
like, this is not
yeah.
right.
But there's lots of bars with that in it, and there's
Yeah.
one that I've tried. Oh, why is it escaping me the name of it right now? But it has green tea in it, and it's actually a
Uh-huh.
nice little boost.
Uh-huh.
It's not weird, doesn't make you feel yucky. It's just a kind
Yeah.
of a nice little
Yeah,
bit of 3 o'clock.
I definitely use, some of the goos and things of that nature,
Mm-hmm.
and you can definitely like I am not a person that like I know some people that are like, oh, I drank a soda and I feel better off the caffeine. Like I could drink like 5 sodas and not be able to
Yeah,
tell a difference in the way that I feel.
yeah,
But I
right.
know when I'm riding, if I take one of those goos with the caffeine in it, like I can feel like my energy change.
Yeah,
You
you
know
get
what
a
I
little
mean? Like,
boost. Yeah, and
yeah,
it's a
yeah,
good boost. It's like a
yeah,
nice, steady, even boost. Yeah,
yeah.
we would love to create that. But yeah, we haven't talked about it a ton. We've
Yeah.
talked about it a little bit, just to see, because we have another. We already have another name for another one, so we
Yeah,
just
yeah.
have to decide what we want to do with it.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, I like the caffeine idea, because it especially for athletes, it's
Hmm.
just a nice little boost to keep steady
Yeah.
energy, and especially with a good balanced
Yeah.
snack, and then just add a little bit of that. It'll help a
What
little more. But
what's something that you thought was going to be really easy that ended up being extremely difficult through this
oh,
process?
wait, let me get my list. Well, for one, distribution.
Uh-huh.
It seems easy, right? You just pack it and put dry ice in it and ship it out. But now
Uh-huh.
you're dealing with a third party that has to get it delivered.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been really difficult. So we are looking into having distribution outside of us.
Uh-huh.
We just didn't want to give up that control, because we can control it here.
Right.
But our product will still be our product. It's not like they're making it for us. So they'll just
Right.
be delivering it for us. So we're looking into that, doing that next year, because it's such a hassle, because we have to rely on the big companies, right, that deliver.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really need to shout them out, but
Yeah.
people know who they are. And
Right.
it makes it so hard, because we send it out 2-day air, just say across, the country.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes 5 days. Well, the dry ice is now gone, and the
Right.
sandwiches have thawed.
Yeah.
And now we have to send another one out.
Right.
So that part's been a little more difficult. And then probably just the whole process of the bread. The
Yeah.
bread is the touchiest part of what we do,
Mm-hmm.
because it has to come out not perfect, but it has to come out nice and even
Mm-hmm.
all the time, and it just doesn't do that. So,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I see half a loaf of bread that goes to waste, and I'm like,
Right. It's cost.
cha-ching. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah. It's
cost,
money.
it's time.
Yeah.
But what we do that's really important is, so we take the crust off, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
and we do donate that to a local farm.
Oh,
So
cool.
the crust is not going to waste, which was one of my big, huge things. It's like us, we got to figure out how we're going to do this, because we cannot throw the bread away. That's just,
Yeah.
that's torture for me.
So
So
that's going to like some kind of like pig food or something like
yeah,
that,
it's
or
in
like
the
animal
local pig
food.
farm. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's exactly what it is. So that makes me feel better. I mean, it's just inevitable. We're taking the crust off, so we're going to have that waste. But to have it go,
I think it's a good story for a company though as well. They're trying to be sustainable and like supporting, like not being wasteful. You know, that's a mission statement that is like very appealing nowadays. You know, like 20 years ago, somebody could give a shit. They'd be like, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
no, exactly. But yeah, I think the distribution has been the hardest part for us. And now as we head to get bigger, obviously we need to raise money to do that. So that's really hard for us too. And I don't know if it's like asking for money from somebody seems really strange to me, you know, but you obviously to survive and grow, you have to, but it's really uncomfortable to me because I don't know how to do it for one. And then it's probably just me, but you want to keep going. So we're going to try to keep going as long as we can before we have to do that. But you know, you think Austin and I look at each other all the time and we're like, wow. I mean, it's not just making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. There's so much more involved to owning your own company. Right. And although it's a sweeter experience than working for somebody, and obviously you know this too, you know, so you get to decide how you do it, when you do it, whatever. But when you have to deal with other entities to get your job done, that's when it gets a little bit difficult. And you know, we've been very fortunate. I like I said, it's like the days you feel defeated, all of a sudden you get a call and funness is happening the next day. So it's like, okay, this is why we're doing it. We're doing it. We know we're doing it. We're good at it. So let's just keep going. Let's not feel defeated because these things are going to come up. Having employees, not easy, you know?
There's a lot of things that take a lot of time that people don't realize how long they take. Like I would say just the process of coming up with like what your logo is. And what colors you're going to use for it and which one you're going to use.
Really fun. That was the fun part for us. And like we have an amazing graphic artist. Shout out to Jennifer Hunt. She's incredible. And we just say it. We just go, look, this is what we're thinking. 80s theme, you know, we want the cram to look like this and whatever. And she sends it back to us. We're like, we love it. We'll take it. We don't even need another, you know, redo. We love it. So she gets our vibe. And so that made that part really, really fun. I don't think it was until we like actually got our own kitchen, saw how things flowed or didn't flow, that we really went, oh, wow. Oh, yeah. We didn't expect that. Well, that's a little bit more difficult. And, you know, obviously, like I said, the distribution was like, yeesh, that's scary. Why we have to rely on people. And that's, you know, I think, of course, you want your product to get somewhere when you say it's going to be there. That's the worst part, right?
Yeah. I always like kind of hidden kind of things in logos. And I think that as I was sitting here talking to you and you're explaining the logo, I realized that it's actually peanut butter and jelly is what your name is Cram. Like the way that it's the logo is, it's like a base color of like peanut butter with like the jelly on top of it. And you can see like the way that it's spread, like from the K or the A is like lifted from the
I
like
can see that.
I don't know. At least that's the way it looks to me, and maybe that's what the inspiration was for the artist or something like that. But I don't know if it doesn't sound like that was something you guys tried to do on purpose. So.
No, we didn't try to do that on purpose. Cram was crammed with nutrition, but you know, just a little fun with that. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So how about packaging? How did that how was that to like overcome or to like figure out how you're going to do that? I mean, initially I would imagine you didn't have like some way to package it up. So how did you guys figure that out?
Well, initially we had like just the clear plastic, you know, silly things. And we had the little heat seal.
Yeah, I gotcha.
That was at the beginning and when we were sharing, so it didn't really matter. But
so you get to like a big roll of packaging, and then you just
it was actually individual, you know, little individual package where we had to take the sandwich, put it in, and then heat seal it.
Oh, I see.
but yeah, we went through a lot of ideas because the more athletes we talked to, they're like, oh, it'd be nice to have it like a Ziploc. Because if we're
Yeah.
running, we can take a bite and put it back in, especially
Oh,
like
that
for
makes sense.
runners or bikers. Yeah, we can put it back
Yeah.
in. And well, that was clanky because trying to find that is really difficult,
Right.
especially ordering lots of them because they were really expensive. So we went that route, or we thought about that route first. And then we came across these pockets. You know, it's all about just researching and trying to find the best.
Mm-hmm.
But like you were saying, you know, trying to like undo this thing can be weird too.
Mm-hmm.
But if we heat seal it properly, then, you know, it doesn't seem to be a problem.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I
just
definitely, I had a
research.
problem with a couple of them where I like tore there's little perforations that are in the
Yes.
top of the bag so that you
Yeah.
pull it apart and you're supposed to be able to get to the sandwich. And I had a couple of times where like I pulled it and it didn't open, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and these things happen. So I mean, obviously on the
Yeah.
trail, I just
Well,
kind
it's funny too, because so now we have a machine, right? You feed
Yeah.
it through and it seals it
Mhm.
and stamps the expiration date on it and stuff. But up until that moment, yeah, we're doing it manually, just heat sealing, you know, the packages, and it's just not perfect. And even the machine isn't perfect, you
Yeah.
know. But now there's training that goes into it. You know, it's like it has to be in this certain spot before you let it go. So
Yeah.
to try to make it as consistent as possible.
Do you fill the bag with any kind of like specific air or anything like that to help
No, you know,
fresh or?
that will be our future plan.
Uh-huh.
But right now we just blast freeze them.
Mm-hmm.
But
So
there
what does that
is,
mean?
so it goes into a blast freezer, which it basically shock freezes it
Mm-hmm.
in like 20 minutes.
It just freezes it super fast.
Solid. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's solid. So it's supposed to keep in, you know, the moisture and not let it out. Because obviously you have the chance with freezer food of freezer burn.
Mm-hmm.
So it eliminates, or I shouldn't say it eliminates because I don't think that anything eliminates that, but it helps take that out of the equation.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it seals in the nutrition, so it helps the longevity of the product itself.
So how often are you guys making sandwiches? Are you making sandwiches every day, or is it like that happens on Mondays and then they ship on Fridays, or like how does that go?
So we make sandwiches productions Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at this moment. So we basically bake. We put up dough on Sundays, on Saturdays, bake Sundays, make sandwiches Mondays, and then it just keeps going. So then we put up dough on Sunday, make sandwiches. You know.
Yeah.
So basically,
so there's no days off.
No.
None. How long's it been like that?
Yeah, we actually had a little pack that we had to at least take one day off. But it's really hard right now. You know, it's really hard because it's either Austin and I take up the extra work. We have 3 employees. So Austin's wife works with us a couple days a week. And then we have 2 bakers. But Austin and I are perfectly capable of doing the job right now, you know, and so you have to balance, you know, hiring more people versus us being able to do it. So we take up the extra slack right now, and next year, you know, we'll hire more employees so that Austin and I can really focus on functions, you know, going out to functions, going out to grocery stores and doing the tasting and you know, dealing with other things. Austin, his big thing will be the distribution of for Sprouts and Erewhon and whatever other retailers we get in. He'll oversee that. But we want him to be able to oversee it versus having to do it day in and day out. But, you know, we have this philosophy too. We really need to know every single part of our business before we give it up to somebody else. You know, it's really important. Yeah, that we know everything so that we can train people to be able to train the next person and so on.
But you also understand how your business is working then.
Yes.
And I think that's important. I think there's a lot of people that have a business and they don't know how the functions of what the employees are facing or what types of problems or trouble that people would come into. And if you have that experience, then in my opinion, I feel like you can be a better leader.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And, you know, it's really, really important to us that our culture is set now. and it you know, it continues that way. And so we feel like we really need to be here, and I love being here. It's exciting. I can't wait to get back here when I leave. You know, when I go home for a week, I definitely need to go home and recharge, because I get minimal sleep while I'm here, because I'm basically my focus. Sorry, I need to plug in my. Basically, my focus is here. I get here early in the morning and leave late at night. So, but yeah, you know, we have this pack that we really need to make sure that we're taking one day off. And some weeks it happens, and some weeks it doesn't. But I think it's important, because we don't need to be getting burnt out either. We need to be here, and we need to be making our company the best as possible. So, yeah,
I think it's easy to like be a workaholic when it's something that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
And it's something that you're really excited about. And I think that the longer that you can hold on to that personally, I think the better, you know, because sometimes it's only a matter of time until something becomes like part of your like normal way of life, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like you don't have that same I don't know, let's just call it the honeymoon phase. You know what I mean? Like it just turns into like a job, you know, and then it's like, okay, well, that's not as fun. And I think the longer that you can keep that honeymoon going, the better that things will be, you know?
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because I go home and I'm like, as much as I love to be home and decompress, see my chickens and my goats and my dogs and my dad and all, you know, my husband and all that, I can't wait to get back. It's like, I want to get back, because I want to see what's happening next. And I just, it's always, every day here is a curiosity. It's like, okay, what's going to happen today? You know, what's going to go on today? Yeah, we're going to do our production today, just say, but I know something else is going to come up, you know, and it could be exciting, and I don't want to miss it, you know? So yeah, it's, I hope the honeymoon phase doesn't go away. And I hope we as together as a team, Austin and I, can really figure out how to make that not happen. And I think it goes back to you hire employees when you know that they can do it better than you, and you go and do the next thing that you're better at, you know, and if we can keep going in that direction, keep our focus, you know, we can't fail. So we keep reminding ourselves of that all the time, you know, that we need to make sure we take our time, and we need to make sure that we understand our strengths and weaknesses, and we need to ask for help when it's necessary, and but master all the things, even if we're not good at it, at least know, we have to know exactly where we need help, and get the right person in there. But for now, we need to struggle through the things that we don't like. You know, I mean, there's things obviously we don't like doing. I don't like doing the financials. They're frustrating, you know?
Right.
But I'm going to do them because I need to know that part of our business.
Right.
Austin doesn't want to manage, you know, he doesn't want to manage people. I get it, you know, but I love doing that. That's one of my strengths. So it's such a fun balance. It's so fun. I can't even begin to tell you all the things we've learned about ourselves, and then and then together, you know, as a family, as a mother and son. And it's been so fun. It's just been so satisfying, and, you know, gratifying. And it's been a great time. And
So where would you like to see this go in like 10 years? Like, where would you like to be?
Well, we would definitely like to be above Uncrustables. That would be lovely. 10 years? Wow.
Like, what's the long-term goal? Like, would you like to see this become to something where you sell it to somebody, you license it to somebody else, or do you want to see it become like, hey, this is a new brand, and that's now, you know, someday your Cliff, you know?
Yeah, we do. But that's what we want. I mean, at this point, we don't see the selling the company seems really strange, and I think because we're so passionate, we are blood, sweat, and tears in, and you know, it's hard to imagine somebody, you know, who knows? You can never say never, right? Because we might do that and then go on to the next adventure. I don't know. But for now, you know, the 5-year goal is really to get in as much retail, really touch as many people as we possibly can. You know, we touch as many athletes, teams, community as we can. and get our product out there and get people when we want that. We want people to look at Cram and go, oh yeah, we know what that is.
Yeah.
Exactly what that is.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think you have a really good product. And I like the philosophy of what you guys are thinking. And I think in the long run, like I said earlier, I can see other products that go along with it that are in the same space, or like once you've made this name that that it can continue to be other things. And I like the name being Cram, that it's not like PB&J, it doesn't make it that it's just the only thing that you guys can do. So it leaves you open that way. And just really, I think that I'm excited for you guys as well to see where it goes. So
yeah. Thank you so much.
So I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and chat with me tonight, and everybody out there that's been listening. If you haven't already, went over to their website and check it out, go over to cramnutrition.com and take a look. Then like I said in the show notes, there is a discount code for 10% off, so you guys can check that out. And is there anything else what do you want to leave people with as far as what Cram is? Or
go check out Cram. Like Robert said, go check out our site and come see us at the local events. I mean, we'll be at Dirt Daze, which will be fun. And I thought we have a couple of these shirts, and we'll bring some of them to Dirt Daze if we have any left over. But if somebody orders in the notes, actually, you know what? Let me back up. If you decide to order, email us at supportzone@cramnutrition.com. And let us know what your t-shirt size, and we'll send you one of the I think we had these at the event. Huh?
I don't remember. So it's basically a Cram t-shirt, but it's got a bike rider on the back, and he's doing the
so this is the front. That's the back. And then we have the gray version.
Yeah, super cool.
Yeah. With the
white logo on the back.
Yeah, so we'll
I know I saw somebody in the comments earlier say they already ordered, so hopefully they made it to the end of the show so they can hear that. But I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to seeing what else you guys have to bring to the table. So
thanks so much for having me. That was fun.
So everybody out there, once again, please hit the subscribe button if you like the show and you want to see more of it. I like seeing that number grow. It makes me happy. So please hit that button. If you like if you want to go ahead and throw a little kudos at it, hit the thumbs up. If you didn't like it, you can hit the thumbs up twice or 3 times. You can hit it 3 times. If you didn't like it, hit the thumbs down 2 times. That's what I'm trying to say. And then that'll make you feel really good. And outside of that, if you guys could do me a favor, swing by my Instagram and give me a follow. That would be awesome. While you're there, you can look at the post that I threw up about Cram Nutrition before the show, and you can follow over to their Instagram, give them a follow, and see what they're up to on. I'm sure you guys are making your social post on the regular as well. So, everybody, if there's one thing that you remember and one thing you take out of this whole show, remember that it only takes a bike to be a biker. So get out and be one.
Awesome. See you in March.